Hello and welcome to Lesson 3. We're going to take a look at the thinking question from the end of Lesson 2. Why do you think we need decimals? What makes them important? Well, to me, I think that decimals are really important because they allow us to be a lot more detailed when we're representing something. If there's something that is less than a whole, then I want to be able to represent that with a number, but I can't do that with whole numbers because that tells me that I have a whole. So decimals allow me to be more specific and more detailed and show exactly what a number is. Today we're going to be talking about factors and multiples, what they are, how we find them, and what they mean. For the materials today, you'll be needing a pencil and paper, as usual. We're going to go over a little bit of vocabulary because it's important that you know what these words mean in order to then be able to understand them and find them. So a product, and I didn't say product when I talked about what we're going to be learning about, but a product is incredibly important in finding factors and multiples. A product is any answer to a multiplication problem. Any answer to a multiplication problem. So that means if I find the answer to 3 times 4 equals 12. 12 is going to be my product. If I find the answer to 10 times 6, which is 60, 60 is the product because that is the answer to a multiplication problem. Now a factor. I did say that we were going to be learning about factors, so it's really important that you listen and understand this. A factor is any number that you multiply by another number to get a product. I'm going to say that again, slower. Any number that you multiply by another number to get a product. Okay, so let's break that apart a little bit. We're going to look at the number 6. Pause the video and write down as many multiplication problems as you can think of that get you the product of 6. Pause your video and do that now. Hopefully you came up with 2 times 3 equals 6 and 1 times 6 equals 6. Now, some of these numbers are factors and some of them are products. Specifically, 6 and 6 are both my products because they're the answer to a multiplication problem. Now let's go back to what the definition of a factor is. A factor is any number that you multiply by another number to get a product. So, it's any number that you multiply by another number to get a product. I multiplied 2 by another number to get a product of 6. So that means one of my factors is 2. I also multiplied 3 by another number to get 6. I multiplied 1 by another number and 6 by another number. So 1, 2, 3, and 6 are all factors of the number 6 because they're all numbers that when I multiply them by another number, I can get 6. It's pretty easy to find all the factors for small numbers like 6 because there aren't that many multiplication problems that you can write to find 6. However, when you're looking at a larger number, it can be difficult to think of all of the different multiplication problems that could get you there, so that makes it difficult to find all the factors. I'm going to teach you how to make a factor rainbow. In order to make a factor rainbow, you start with the outside loop of the rainbow. And in the outside loop, you always start with 1. So you ask yourself, 1 times what equals 18? Well, 1 times 18 equals 18. So then I'm going to write 18 over here, and I wrote my 1 over there. Now I'm going to write or draw a second loop, and I'm going to go up one number. So I started at 1, now I'm going to go to 2. Is 2 times something 18? Yes. 2 times 9 equals 18. Now I'm going to go into the next loop. 3. Is 3 times something 18? Yes. 3 times 6. So I'm going to write 3 and 6. Now I'm going to go to my next loop. My next number to go up to is 4. Is 4 times something 18? It's not. Okay, so I can't do 4. So now I'll go up to 5. Is 5 times something 18? Nope, it's not. Now I'll go up to 6. Oh, I I already have a 6 up here, so that means I get to stop. As soon as you get to a number that you've already done, you stop. You've found all the factors. So I'm actually going to erase this inner loop so we don't get confused. And then when I list my factors, I list them from smallest to largest. Well, the factor rainbow has already done that for me. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 18. Those are all my factors of 18. Those are all the numbers that when multiplied by another number can get me 18. If you'd like, you can draw out this factor rainbow on your paper so that you can remember what it looks like, because you're going to do the next one on your own. You're going to do the number 32 on your own. So 32 is the product, and you're going to draw a factor rainbow to show all the factors of 32 and then list them from smallest to largest. Pause the video and do that now. This is what your factor rainbow should look like. You should have 1 matched with 32, 2 matched with 16. Now that may not be a multiplication problem that you have memorized, but because it's an even number, you should automatically know that you're going to be able to multiply 2 times something, and then you can figure out from there what number it's going to be. And then you should also have 4 matched with 8. And so when you list them, you have 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, and 32. Pause the video and try drawing a factor rainbow for 24 now. There are a lot of factors of 24, I'm sure that you found. So 1 should be matched with 24, 2 should be matched with 12, 3 should be matched with 8, 4 should be matched with 6, and then we couldn't do 5, so we had to stop there. That means all our factors in order are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. Great job. Now, I have drawn a factor rainbow on the board, but I haven't told you what the product is. So you're going to take a look at this and try and figure out what the product is. Pause the video and do that now. My product is 28, and I was able to figure that out pretty simply. All I had to do was look at the outer rainbow, the outer loop of the rainbow, and it has 1 and 28. Well, I know that that's telling me that 1 times 28 is going to equal 28, which is going to be my product. And I can check it by saying 2 times 14, is that 28? And 4 times 7, that's also 28. Now I've listed the factors. I haven't put them in a factor rainbow. You're going to draw the factor rainbow and put the product at the top. Pause your video and do that now. In order to create this factor rainbow, I did a couple of things. First, I thought about when I list the factors, like I did over here, the 1 and 24, so the first and the last number were the ones that were in my outer loop of the rainbow. And then the next 2 numbers, the 12 and the 2, were the next loop. So, if I look at this, my first and my last numbers are going to be the first and last number on my rainbow, so it's going to be the outer loop. And then these 2 numbers and the next one's in, so they're going to be in the next loop. Then I looked at 1 times 27 is 27. 3 times 9 also equals 27, so that's correct. We're going to move into multiples now. The definition of a multiple is a little bit more difficult to understand, but it'll make a lot more sense once we start to look at examples. So the definition is the product of that number and another number. So the multiple of a number is the product of that number and another number. Remember, the product is the answer to a multiplication problem. So we're saying that the multiple is the answer to a multiplication problem between that number, so the number that we're talking about the multiple of, and another number. All right, that's a little bit confusing to make sense of, but we'll make sense of it, don't worry. We'll start with a pretty simple number. We'll start with 2. We're going to find the multiples of 2. Now, in order to do that, we have to find the product of that number, so the 2, because we're finding the multiple of 2, so if we substitute in the 2, we're finding the multiple of 2. So the product of that number, which is 2, so the product of 2 and another number. So 2, well, let's start with 1, times 1 equals 2. There's our first multiple of 2. It's 2. Now let's try another one. 2 times another number, let's go with 2, equals 4. 4 is another multiple because it's the product of 2 times another number. Let's do another one. 2 times 3 equals 6. 6 is another multiple. 2 times 4 equals 8. I could even do 2 times 100 equals 200. That's also a multiple of 2. So anytime you multiply a number times another number, you're going to find a multiple of that number. Pause your video and find 3 more multiples of 2. They can be any multiples you want. As long as you're multiplying it by 2, you'll be correct. Pause your video and do that now. There are an infinite number of multiples that you may have found, so I'm not going to put all of those on the board because that would be impossible. But as long as you multiply 2 times another number and then wrote down that product is a multiple of 2, so that would be correct. Now you're going to pause the video and find the first 10 multiples of 4. What I mean by that is you're going to start with 4 times 1, and then you're going to find each consecutive multiple, so you're going to do 4 times 1, 4 times 2, 4 times 3, all the way up until 4 times 10. That's a common way that you'll be asked to write down multiples, is to write down the first 10. So you can't choose just any multiples you want, you have to do the first 10 multiples of 4. So pause your video and write those now. Here are all the multiples of 4. Now I've done all of the math out over here. As you can see, I've done 4 times 1 all the way up through 4 times 10. And my multiples listed in order are 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, and 40. Now you're going to find the first 5 multiples of 7, and then you can find 3 more multiples, any multiples you want. They do not have to be within the first 10. So find the first 5, write those down, and then find 3 more, any 3 that you want. Pause your video and do that now. The first 5 multiples for 7 are 7, 14, 21, 28, and 35. I didn't write down any extra multiples because, again, just like with the 2's, there's an infinite number that you could have done. As long as you multiplied 7 by another factor and you wrote down the product, then you wrote down a multiple, and that's great. Now, something you may have noticed between all of these numbers that we've found multiples of, especially when we were finding the first 5 or first 10, is that we're skip counting. We're counting by that number. And that makes sense because each multiple is going to be one more group of 7, or when we were finding the multiples of 2, it's going to be one more group of 2 because it's 7 times 1. Then it's 7 times 2, so that's 2 groups of 7. 7 times 3, that's 3 groups of 7. So when you think about it logically, the multiples are just going to be skip counting, so it should be fairly easy to find the first 5 or first 10 multiples of a number. I've listed some multiples up here, and you are going to try and find which one does not belong. So you have to think about what you are skip counting by and which one doesn't belong in there. And you're also going to tell me what number they're multiples of. So pause your video and do that now. The 15 does not belong because we're skip counting by 4's, which means that these are all multiples of 4. All of these numbers are products of 4 times another number. Now, what should be in 15's place? If we go from 12, then we're skip counting by 4, so that's 4 times 3. So this is going to be 4 times 4, and that's 16. So that number should have been 16. Just to remind you of the definitions, because these really aren't that difficult of ideas, but it is hard to remember the difference between factors and multiples. So a factor is any number that you multiply by another number to get a product. So it's the 2 numbers you multiply to get the answer. A multiple of a number is the product of that number and another number. So it's the answer that you get when you multiply a number, this number, by another number. All right, so what's our thinking question this week? How do you know when you found all the factors for a number? Think about that between now and the time you watch the 4th lesson, and I will give you my thoughts, and you can think about what your experiences are. Goodbye.